Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms, World of Warships, and today's video is our next installment into our Teamwork series, and this replay features myself and Puddin 597. We're playing some domination here on the map Strait, and we could not be in two different destroyers. Puddin here is playing in his Tier 5 premium Soviet destroyer, the Gnevny-class, one of the best destroyers tier for tier in the game, and I am playing in the the Tier 5 German destroyer, the T-22. We're going to rack up an incredible amount of damage, secure 2/3 of the kills for our team, and end up having a solid victory when the game was in doubt early on during this match. And I'm just going to leave you with a little spoiler here. The ship that does the most damage may surprise you. So here at the beginning of the game, this is a Tier 5 battle, finally. It seems like every game I've played in that T-22, it up-tiers you because Tier 5 ships just seem to get screwed over these days with the way the matchmaker has been. But I digress. Here in this Tier 5 game, so I feel pretty comfortable. Puddin is moving up here into Objective Alpha with myself, and we wanted to make a hard push for this objective at the beginning of the game because it's important to do so in your lower tier destroyers. Now, amongst the many things that the Gremy is very good at, it has 8-kilometer torpedoes. So most of the Soviet and Russian destroyers down at these tiers only have 4 kilometers, so he's actually able to get some very nice long-range torpedoes out as I launch mine as well right behind him. The one saving grace of the T-22 is it also has pretty good torpedoes. They're 7.5 kilometers fully upgraded, and they go 62 knots, I believe. 62 or 63, one of the two. And they have a pretty good reload, too, of around 70 seconds. So it's a torpedo boat, but it has tendencies of a gunboat as well. But the gun caliber is so minuscule and so tiny. The angles are very bad. You hardly have any hit points as Puddin lands 2 very solid torpedoes into that Kaiser right there. Very good stuff. So the T-22 just straight up gets outclassed by a Gremy. But when you have 2 of them, myself, of course, and Puddin playing in his Gremy, we're going to do some good work here. And this is one of those teamwork replays that once the game was over with, we were really sweating it. It was a very good battle that we had. So at this point, we pushed right into Alpha, took it without so much of getting our paint scratched right here as we switch to my perspective here as the Kaiser continues to move in. We captured Objective Alpha, Puddin dropped some torpedoes, did some very good work there, kited away, doing exactly what Soviet destroyers are supposed to do. The enemy team has captured Objective Charlie, and they are about to capture Objective Bravo, so Puddin and I have certainly done our work here at the beginning of the game. A Gnevny pops up 3.5 kilometers away from me, so I do have to keep moving. One very bad downside to these German destroyers is that they have smoke screens that last for a very short amount of time. For the T-22's case, it's only 56 seconds, so by the time that you slow down and get the whole smoke screen out, you only have about 40 seconds or so worth of time in it. Now, Puddin did lay a smoke screen for me here at the beginning, so if you're wondering why I'm in yet another one, as my torpedo slams home into the Kaiser, and I pick up the first kill for our team in the game, 21,000 points of damage. Puddin laid smoke for me, a very nice guy, a very good play from him. And it allowed me to get some damage in and to be able to shoot at those battleships without having too much of an issue. And then, of course, if they wanted to shoot at Puddin, the Gnevny is a very fast destroyer as well. It's based off the Gnevny-class. Actually, I think it is a Gnevny-class destroyer. Obviously, it's a premium. So at the beginning, of course, doing good stuff here up at A. Our team, a lot of battleships behind us. There's a couple Wyomings, there's a Congo in New York. They're moving up with us as well and getting some good shots. The Miyogi got forced to turn away. I did manage to land 1 torpedo on that guy when he was trying to come into Objective Alpha. So the Kaiser's dead, the Miyogi's running away, the Wyoming is actually taking some pretty good hits as well, and Puddin was able to get some very good shots into that Gnevny as well, so he's only at 4,000 hit points. Now you're going to see right here that this is certainly not a strength. It feels very American shooting these guns. I'm trying to hit that Soviet destroyer that's running away, the Gnevny, and I have to aim so far ahead of him that on some of these shots he's going to be completely off my screen, like right there, and the shells are still landing behind him. He's slowly kiting away. We're almost on a parallel course here at this point, so I'm kind of doing it wrong right here. But, hey, just trying to get a couple, every once in a while you're going to get a couple hits. Right there, he was at 4,000 hit points, now he's below 3. Did set a fire, he burned his damage control immediately. Puddin is still getting some good shots here into the enemy Wyoming, and then he switches his fire to the Gnevny. And at this point we decided, hey, we got to move down into Objective Bravo. The scores are 348 to 432 as the Congo takes out a friendly Wyoming. Each side has lost 2 ships apiece, but of course the enemy team has had 2 of the 3 caps for quite some time, so they do indeed have the lead. So thus far, a pretty decent performance. We both have about the same damage at the moment, and yeah, everything is going okay, but we do realize as our friendly Miyogi gets taken out down at the south end of the map, we do need to do some work here. Now you can see, also looking at the minimap, that the majority of the enemy battleships that are at full health are moving into B as well. And yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult here. So I have to be very, very careful. I decided to stop shooting, but then the airplanes are also spotting me as well. There is an enemy Bogue over there on the enemy team, so he keeps spotting me from time to time with his aircraft, which is certainly not a good thing. Now, the worst part of the German DD line, and I'm sure most people know about it, is that it gets an incredible detection range when you shoot the guns. For this thing specifically, 12.8 kilometers. Wargaming is trying to get rid of the whole stealth fire mechanic in the game, and what this is caused, basically, is once I shoot, you can see how big on the minimap that 12.8 is. It's 3 kilometers past, at least for this replay, the maximum range. I don't even have the range modification on in this game, so it's just ridiculous. This thing is almost stock save for the extra little bit of hit points on the upgraded hull. But yeah, 9.8 kilometers and 12.8 detection, that's pretty bad. So I can't stay out here in the open any longer. Puddin comes in and lays another smoke screen for me. I had to use mine. He told me to wait, but I just didn't feel comfortable with it. I did get a nice salvo of torpedoes out on the enemy Texas, and then he launches his as well. So if he stays on that course, we should be able to secure this kill. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the torpedoes are pretty darn good on the T-22, and it's really the only thing about the ship that makes it anyone playable. And as you can see here, the torpedoes are strolling in on the Texas. I managed to hit 2, and then 4, and then 5 right underneath that second turret, the B turret. 5 torpedoes slam home, almost a full health nuke right there. Now I'm up to 70,000 points of damage with 2 ships destroyed, but we're still losing the game very badly here. With 12 minutes and 42 seconds left in the game, the enemy team has about a 200-point advantage here. As we switch back to Puddin's perspective, he's up to 37,000 points of damage, so very good stuff. And he's going to be starting to get some more long-range accurate fire in here at these enemy battleships. We've pushed the Wyoming away. He saw what happened to his Texas friend and certainly wanted to skedaddle out of that area. And at this point, Puddin and I were talking, we're like, hey man, we probably got to get on B right now. All the battleships are kind of pushed away, especially that Wyoming, which was the biggest threat. We need to get on this cap, and we need to be able to take care of business, because I don't know if we're going to be able to get this cap later in the game. And it's at this point that the enemy boat gets spotted off of Puddin's port side at 8.5 kilometers. So I tell him, hey man, you're a much more dangerous destroyer. You have better torpedoes, at least in range. You have better guns, more hit points, better speed, all a number of things. So what I want you to do is just stay alive. I'm going to go make a YOLO run at the carrier. And if I'm able to get them, it's better for you because you'll be able to carry harder at the end of the game. That was my logic. That was my reasoning for doing so. As Puddin continues to turn, we have got about 10 seconds left until we're able to capture the objective. That'll be our second time that we're both able to get a capture. And you can see nobody is shooting at Puddin. They're all shooting at me over there. And it seems ridiculous because a Gremy is, 5 times more powerful than a T-22. This thing could probably be a tier 6 or 7 destroyer and do just fine, but because I get detected from such a long range, everybody wants to take a swipe at me. So, hey, for Puddin, that's not a bad thing at all. The Texas does decide to shoot at him. He's got more shells flying in. He just barely does not fail to pull a Nazi right there. Very close to hitting the island. He does manage to land 1 torpedo on the Congo, does about 10,000 points of damage. Unfortunately, doesn't get a flooding, but that's okay. Good damage there. He did set a fire on the New York, and he uses damage control quite some time ago, so Puddin is just kiting around. He does take a pretty decent hit there from the Congo as he goes out of detection, and any second now that New York should burn down as he continues to get more shells into the Congo. Unfortunately, we lose our carrier, so it's 299 to 768. We do have 2 of the 3 caps. There we go. Puddin takes care of the New York, but we are down by 350 points at this stage of the game. We're going to switch back to me now here. I'm up to 78,000 points of damage. I was able to move through that area relatively unscathed. I only lost about 3,000 hit points from those battleships. I was playing with the throttle and the rudder. This thing does have decent maneuverability once it's fully upgraded. It's like a 2.7 second rudder shift, but it is still on the slow slide. It's about 35.5 knots, I believe, without the speed boost. But at this point, like I said, I wanted to chase down the Bogue, help Puddin out. We have 5 ships while the enemy team still has 7, and of course their carrier is still in play. Since we lost ours, this is imperative. This is a play that I told him, hey man, I got to do this. So now I'm getting ready to launch torpedoes here, and I'm assuming that the Bogue is going to start to turn back to starboard. Now you're going to notice here that this Bogue is so woefully armored that even these very menial guns on this T-22 are still able to do a decent bit of damage. He tries to drop his torpedoes. Yeah, he dropped them into the island. I managed to land 2 torpedoes into that bogue in his rear end. Both are going to do about maximum damage because I don't even believe that thing has a torpedo belt protection. And if it does, it's only a couple percentage points. You can tell that guy was a little new, though, dropping his torpedoes all into the island. That was kind of funny. Leave him on about 2,000 hit points, and I'm going to continue to get more shots into him. This next salvo should be the kill. High explosive out, and I managed to get a Citadel with the HE. And at this point, I also see that the enemy Wyoming has come back on almost full health, 5.5 kilometers away. So I'm going to pull a tactical Notzer here and get myself behind the island. Now, this is something extremely important for you guys to pay attention to. As you all know here in World of Warships, if you get within 2 kilometers of an enemy ship, it's just like in World of Tanks, where if you're within 50 meters, I believe, they are automatically spotted, and they will stay spotted unless they retreat or withdraw out of that distance. So what this Wyoming is going to do here is going to be a very bad play. Now, at this point, Puddin is headed back up to the north. He managed to land a very nice long-range shot on an enemy Mitsuki that had very little health, so he got a kill up there, and now he's going to try to deal with that other enemy destroyer that's up there, the Gnevny. I managed to land a fire at this time on the bow of that enemy Wyoming, and I launched both my torpedoes. Now, he was 3.8 kilometers away right there when I managed to drop my fish, and you can see the damage counter at the top right is still ticking, so he isn't an idiot. He is letting it burn, and right at this point, 3 torpedoes slam home right into his bow, cause 3 floodings. Obviously, he's going to be using his damage control here soon. Pick up the high caliber with 147,000 points of damage in this thing. Holy crap, this has been one epic game here in this T-22. 12 torpedo hits at this point. Our friendly Wyoming manages to take out the Kuma, and now all of a sudden, it is 657 to 581. 4 enemy ships got absolutely wrecked, and here's exactly what I'm talking about. This enemy Wyoming gets within 2 kilometers. All he had to do was stay outside of 2 kilometers, get his guns pointed towards the island, and wait for me to make a play, because I kind of have to at this point. But now he's giving me free information. I know exactly where he's at, so I'm just biding my time and waiting to see what he is going to do before I make my next move. So this is just a bad play on his part, and granted, he's probably someone that's new to the game. That's my guess, because as he keeps on turning, at this point, I decide, all right, I'm going to activate the speed boost. I do have the engine modification on this thing, so I get going faster. So I'm going to back out of the island here really quickly, and he's only able to shoot his 2 rear turrets at me. Now, German DDs do take monstrous AP damage from everything, so I do take a pretty decent bit of hits there. I think 3 shells slammed home. I lost about 3,000 hit points, but now that my torpedoes have been long since reloaded, I'm now going to wait, fire the first set, and then I decided to fire the second set of torpedoes. All I need is another set, or 1 torpedo to hit, cause a flooding, and there we go, and he is going to flood out, and there's no reason for me to go out behind this island. I'm just going to wait. Puddin's torpedoes over there on the other side of the map managed to hit a smoked up Gnevny, and then any second now, the Wyoming should kick the bucket. Yes, he does. There we go. He floods out, and that game was a 5v7, and we were losing 350 points, and in about 3 to 4 minutes, all of a sudden, Puddin and I have a combined 7 kills. I'm at 160,000 damage. Puddin is about 70,000 at this point, and there's only 1 ship remaining, and it's the enemy Congo, who is in Objective Bravo. So right there, some unbelievably good play from myself and Puddin. You can see there in the chat, can't believe he was that dumb. Awesome job, Snake. A very good shout out to the Carl Schur right there, recognizing the good play, and yeah, that was incredible. I made a good play against the Bogue. Puddin was able to make a good play, 2 good plays against the enemy destroyers. That Mitsuki kill that he had that wasn't shown here on this replay was at about 13 kilometers as he was turning away. So Puddin landed an incredibly good salvo. And right there, 2 destroyers just carrying the load for the team. And quite frankly, if anybody does 160k in the T-22, you better be complimenting them, sending them messages. This thing, I can't stress it enough, is just a pile of garbage. And yet, I've made use of the torpedoes, made use of my smoke, and of course Puddin's smoke hooking me up, while Puddin has done what Gremys do. They sit at range, they melt things with their HE fire chance, and they're good AP rounds too if need be. They have good torpedoes, good concealment, it's the whole package. I know I've already said it, but a Gremy is just a ridiculous ship. So at this point, the Congo's shooting miss out on the love tap right there from my friendly battleship, the Congo, behind me. And now I'm just waiting to get in position where I'm able to get some long-range shots here at this Congo. And yes, long range for this ship is indeed 8.5 kilometers. Puddin launches some torpedoes out at the Congo. Unfortunately, they just happen to go by. And then he actually tells me at this point he's going to go for the ram to try and end this game. Because if he goes flying into that Congo, well, he's only got 12k hit points. He is certainly going to die from the impact of his destroyer. So you can see Puddin is closing the distance. The Congo's secondaries all of a sudden wake up and realize, holy shit, there's a destroyer 3 kilometers away from me. He starts to turn away, and unfortunately, the 2 forward guns on the Congo are able to take care of my buddy Puddin. He was having a pretty big hearty laugh at this point, though, and it was rather hilarious. So, and there were no worse for the wear. We still got 2 friendly battleships, so even if the worst were to happen and I were to die, I think we would still be A-okay. It's 808 to 678. So at this point, I'm just getting some more shots here at the Congo. He isn't paying any attention to me, and, well, I guess rightfully so. I mean, again, T-22 really isn't that big of a threat at all. I do manage to land a fire on his superstructure, however, so good damage, what can I say? What you can see here is I'm getting more shots downrange at him. The shell arcs are very lazy, and I believe these guns are like 107, 108 millimeters. I managed to take a shot from him through the bow. They just don't deal damage. If you shoot a full broadside at a ship and do 200 to 300 damage, sometimes that's not a bad salvo at all. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but these guns are just so light caliber that they just don't deal damage. You're so reliant on fires, but even more so on your torpedoes to deal damage in this thing, that if you get cut out of position at the beginning of the game, there's literally nothing that you can do. I mean, you're going to deal a few, pricks here and there to the enemy destroyers, but like I mentioned earlier, if a Gnevny or a Gremy versus a T-22 in a straight-up fight, I mean, there's just nothing that T-22 is going to be able to do, at least in my opinion. So at this point, 889 to 720, I'm moving in, trying to see if I can get a spot on this guy. I'm actually hoping that the Congo that's over there to my starboard side is going to be able to do so then I can at least take advantage of this island that's in between myself and the Congo, and hopefully try to light another fire and see what we can do here. But yeah, the whole game, just very good teamwork. That's probably one of the best, if not the best, teamwork video that we've uploaded. And while we were playing this, the communication was there. We were both just calmly going through our progressions, calmly going through what we were going to do, and we turned this game around. And that's what teamwork is in World of Warships. That's what this game is all about. Being able to division up with people, or even just meeting random players on your team, and being able to figure out what you need to do, put your ships in the right places, and even in a pile of junk like this, as long as you can communicate and focus fire the right targets, go where you need to go, you can still get awesome, epic results like this. So I'm getting some more shots here, high explosive at the Congo. German AP on these destroyers is not that bad. I have shot a few salvos at him, and right there, do about 1,000 damage, but that's okay. However, this Congo is about ready to burn down. You can see still, even with the superstructure fully saturated, I'm just not dealing damage, but that's okay, because the fire is going to burn him down, and I pick up the Kraken. What a game here on the map straight. Taking a look now at the post-battle results, 172,000 points of damage for me. First blood, Kraken, devastating strike, and high caliber. 13 torpedo hits. That's incredible. What a freaking amount. Any tier in any ship, that's awesome. 1,985 base XP with 5 kills, and Puddin coming in second with 1,794 and 3 kills apiece for him. So 8 of the 12 enemy ships sent to Davy Jones's locker. You can see there, 24,000 damage from fires and flooding, 114 from the torpedoes, and a measly 34,000 from the main battery. But still, those torpedoes, that's where it's at with the T-22. If you can get those torpedoes to work out for you, you should be able to do A-okay. A decent amount of credits received, 255,000, and about 18,800 Commander's XP. So now we're going to take a look at Puddin's statistics here for this game. And hold on. Any second now. There we go. 70,000 points of damage, 364,000 credits received, 3 ships destroyed, 4 torpedoes hit, about 100 target hits with his shells, and of course 2 assisted base captures there. So that was just a very good performance by both of us. We were able to take care of business, and yeah,